I was getting ready to go to school. I was a senior in high school, and at like 6:30 in the morning, and I threw in Fallout. Look out! I started playing, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty fun." And I swear to you, I only played that thing for 30 minutes. I finally was like, "Okay, I probably should go to school now." Stand up, and I go up, and my family's eating dinner.
Whoa!
I was like, "What the hell? Like, what are you guys like? Have you been in your room this whole time? Like, you didn't go to school?" And I was like. Dude, I swear to you, like, it's only been like 45 minutes, like 9 hours had passed.
That's amazing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Locked Off Logic Podcast and Queer Cinema Catchup Podcast. I'm super pumped to have my friends Allison and Joe. We've been talking about this for a long time, and we finally connected. We're here in Wyoming, LA, and Chicago on a snowy day and an 80-degree weather day to talk about Fallout Season 1, right before Fallout Season 2 comes out. And if you're listening to us, like, check us out on YouTube, subscribe. If you're hearing us on Spotify or Apple, subscribe to the podcast, leave us 5-star reviews, make a little comment. Even if it's like, hey, their audio could be better, or like they talk way too much, or whatever. Just anything helps to get us back.
We love constructive feedback.
There you go. No, Joe, Allison, I'm so pumped to have you guys, and I feel blessed you guys would be on this podcast with us.
You two more have been coordinating this. Has the discussion always been around, like, was Fallout like the immediate decision? Do you always do video game reviews, like what, like, or shows that are based on video games, or what's the connection, would you say?
My line of work is I run a nonprofit, an anti-trafficking nonprofit that helps young girls who have been sexually exploited and sexually abused. And I just find, like, honestly, a lot of, like, I find a good escape through media, and I find a lot of, like, guidance on just how to go about my everyday life through these stories that are portrayed, like, in video games and in movies and in TV shows. Mm-hmm. And my buddy, like, he's a filmmaker by trade. Like, he was mentored by Bong Joon-ho for a few months, and so he, he's a stud. And so he released this short film called Sweet Molly. You can find it on YouTube.
Awesome.
About a young girl who's escaping one of, like, the polygamous colonies out in, like, southern Utah, and a story that I think means a lot to the both of us is The Last of Us. Like, we push out a shit ton of Last of Us content, like a ton, and I love that TV show. I love Pedro Pascal. I loved the video game. I love both video games. I had a girl in my foundation that felt really seen by The Last of Us, just the sacrifice that somebody makes on behalf of love, even when that love does a lot of damage. And so just, we pushed a lot of Last of Us content out. And that's when I connected with Allison, where she was like, "Oh, you guys talk a lot about The Last of Us. Like, we should connect." We've landed on Fallout, just how much we love Fallout and the series and the game. And we were like, well, let's talk about Fallout.
Yeah.
Had you played the video game before seeing the show? Do you play video games, or like, is there any connection to the show and the video game for you?
Yeah, I like, growing up, I was really into video games, and that's when I first played Fallout. And like, as you grow up, like, go through college and stuff, like, unfortunately, video games, like single player games, kind of fell off the map for me. Like, you get really into, like, Call of Duty, or you get really into like NBA 2K15 or whatever, like something you can play with friends. But the older I got, like, I bought a PS5 or PS3, and I found The Last of Us, and that got me back into video games. But so I play consistent. I don't play a lot, but when like something really good comes out that's really well known, and I recognize, like, the IP and all these different things, I'll play it. But the first one I played Fallout was actually Fallout 3. And the world was just so engaging and just so fun, and it gave you such control over, like, everything, that when I was a senior in high school, Fallout 3 is when I first fell in love with the series.
I didn't play too many video games.
I played some.
Yeah, Alice probably played more than me, but I think both of us nowadays aren't really into video games. Not to say that we're you have to build up kind of like an endurance to get into it.
I almost don't want to, because I think I would become a little addicted, because I love story, and I love, like, mystery, and I like solving. I don't know, like, I just could see myself falling down a rabbit hole. And
you're not just like watching it, like, you'd be the star of this video game. So I could see, I could totally see it becoming addicting. Where it's like, oh my gosh, I have control over the story. Yeah.
Should we quickly, like, give a summary maybe of the show?
No, how about I do the game and you do the show?
Okay.
Tag team. Okay.
I like it.
The world of Fallout is a post-apocalyptic world destroyed by nuclear war. Survivors live in different camps. Like, there's colonies of, like, different people. There's like religious nuts. There's like people that just run markets. There's little villagers of just like little families. There's all sorts of creatures like mutated scorpions, these mutated cockroaches, dogs. You have the group that causes the most havoc are the raiders. Like they're just kind of running amok. In every little area you get different villains. Like there's the Institute in Fallout 4. There's these bandits in New Vegas. But essentially, like, your point of view is someone that went into a fallout shelter before the nuclear bombs happened. Like, all those preppers that, like, we make fun of now, like, they were laughing at us. They're laughing at us from inside their vaults where it's like, we weren't preppers, we were survivalists, and we survived. The theme of the game is that one of them either escapes a vault where they've lived for the last 200 years, or they're forced to leave because something is taken from them, or they've been compromised, or they're missing somebody. And then they kind of explored this new world that's kind of been ravaged by Wasteland. And it's a blast, I think, mainly because, and I think this was really well represented in the show, is that they give you like a mission to follow, but it's so open world and your choices have consequence and you can choose your own kind of path that you can get sidetracked. Like you can leave a vault to go find your dad, and 10 hours later, you're just trying to help this group of like religious freaks clear out the cockroaches that have invaded their generator so that they can have power to fund their movie night or something. Like one thing I love about Fallout is it's a horrific world, like full of monsters and just people that are so morally questionable, but it's also like weirdly beautiful to where like there's times where you're just like walking through the woods and it's just quiet, like the stars are out. Old 40s music is playing. You kind of see the world kind of take back itself, like after it's been ravaged by like all these different things. Like it's a horrific world, but it can be very beautiful, and it's just it's a great IP, and that's kind of how most of the video games are based.
How many games are there? Are you always with the same protagonist? Is that protagonist Lucy McLean that we get in the TV show, or is it someone completely different? Is there a lot of time that passes between the games? Like, what's the kind of the overall of the series itself?
Yeah, the timeline, it's almost a little bit like the Legend of Zelda timeline, where it's all kind of happens like in the same, I don't know, 2,000 years, but you kind of like bounce around a little bit, like depending on the story. You're not always the same protagonist. Like this Lucy character, like she's actually brand new for the series. Her story is not unique, where she's from a vault and she's forced to leave. So all of them kind of have like a way to leave, and they're all based in like different cities in the US. The one that I played, Fallout 3, is based in DC, Boston area. Fallout 4, I think in Washington State, but I could be wrong on that. Fallout New Vegas is, Vegas, Southern Utah, which I think was why the Fallout IP was such a great one to adapt into a show, because they hit all like the right notes, like Fallout Shelter, mutated creatures, their Brotherhood of Steel, like the guys in the armored suits, without like following so close to a story that it like really pisses people off. Versus like you adapt a game that's so beloved, like God of War or The Last of Us, or like these IPs that are just so bloated because they're so good. And if you deviate just a little bit from that line, you just piss a whole lot of people off. With Fallout, you'll never have that problem. Like they might have a little bit of a problem this coming season of New Vegas, because New Vegas is the most beloved of all the games. But still, it's such like a open world adventure, and you choose kind of your own path to where as long as they hit the major plot points, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Oh, you just made me realize that at the end of this season, he's looking out at Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't know, that I'm geographically challenged.
Yeah. Just in general, why would anybody in their right mind ever leave California for Vegas? Like it makes no sense now. It makes less sense, I believe, in the apocalypse. And like Vegas
Agreed.
now, yeah, just like
Where's
such
the
a
water?
hive. Yeah, there's no water, the heat, there's monsters everywhere. Like even now, like it's the capital of just, I don't know, slime and villainy in the States, and it's not different in post-apocalyptic Fallout worlds.
I agree. It's way too hot in the desert. There's like, I always need to be like near some body of water. I feel like that is just
Too far.
Yeah. The only source of liquid is alcohol everywhere you go.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I think the best way to summarize the show is to focus in on the three characters. So we already talked about Lucy, who's a vault dweller, raised in a very sheltered experience. And then on the evening of her marriage, there's a twist where the marriage is actually a group of raiders coming, and they kill some people in the vault and kidnap her father. And then Lucy has to strike out and go and find her dad, but there seems to be a mysterious connection between her father and her kidnapper, and we don't really know what that is in the beginning of the show. And then we have the Ghoul. In the past, pre-nuclear war, Cooper Howard, his wife, works for the Vault Company. He's becoming suspicious of what the Vault Company does. He has a young daughter. He sees the bomb drop. I assume his daughter passes away because we never see her in the main timeline, and he becomes afflicted with radiation sickness and becomes disfigured, a ghoul-like person, which eventually means that you're going to go feral and kind of become a zombie unless you take some sort of medicine that is hard to find in the apocalyptic wasteland. And I guess his mission in this season is to get back at Moldaver, who is the raider that stole Lucy's father, and so he's also after her. And then lastly, we have Maximus, who is part of this group called the Brotherhood, which is sort of like a group of knights. And I think that their mission is to collect all of the pre-war technology, so all of the weapons and things that could create war, and keep it so that nobody else can use it. But to me, that just seems like they're stockpiling all the weapons so that they can wage war. And then the plot gets put into motion by the fact that Ben from Lost, who has some sort of mysterious technology that he's injected into his head. And so then all of these groups of people are trying to get the head as they set off into the desert to go for Moldaver. And then I guess the last thing I'll say is that the twists are, one, Lucy's father is actually from the pre-apocalypse timeline. He had frozen himself, as had all the Vault Tech higher up people, although he was an executive assistant. Which I'm an executive assistant, and I say, I'm here for this villain storyline of the executive assistants. Each vault is doing an experiment on the inhabitants, and the experiment in that vault is we're trying to create the best class of management, the best group of humans who can manage other humans. And so that's why they've frozen themselves to create good, it doesn't really make sense, but to create good managers. And Lucy's mother found out the truth, tried to take her children out of the vault, and then they bombed this like city that they had created. And so her dad's actually a villain. Moldaver's actually a good person, kind of.
Kind of. And also Cooper Howard's wife was kind of the one who came up with the idea to bomb the whole place.
And yeah, and they were like, we need to do this because think about how great it will be to start fresh, because we want to save humanity and we know how to save humanity. So if we just drop the bomb, then we'll have the opportunity to make everything good. Yeah. And I think a lot of the show is about we all want to do things that are good, but we disagree about how to do it, which leads to conflict. And thus, no one is ever really good because we are violent and cruel.
Yeah, but it's a little more nefarious than that because they built this vault technology and they're like, who's going to want to use this? They're like, well, if we bomb people, then they'll feel obligated to go in the vault. So it's like, it's kind of like for the, I don't know. I'd say they're a little more evil in terms of capitalism and all that. They want to sell this vault technology.
That's funny. That's what I wrote down too. Is like the ultimate villain I think of the show is like the uncontrolled capitalism. Yeah. And like when I was watching this show, I was like, you know what this reminds me of is like when they pull like these companies into like these Senate hearings and these politicians are like, why, like Facebook, like why do you let sex trafficking happen on your site? Why do you do that? And they're like, well, how do you know about it? And it's like, well, it's happening. Or they pull in like an airline where it's like, why would you sell this ticket at $49 and then all of a sudden charge somebody $500, and if the flight's canceled, you just keep the $500? Well, you know, we didn't mean to do that. It's like, oh, okay, you didn't mean to do that. I'm like, it's like the story of Fallout, like this company, their end goal is like, well, how do we maximize all of our profits? How do we make the most money? And the solution is to bomb the world. They're like, okay, like, let's do it. Like, as long as we come out on the other end, like, I think we should do it. And so like that was the one thing I wrote down was just like, just watching it, I was like, oh, these guys would get crucified in like a Senate hearing where it's like, okay, Vault Tech, why did we go through your Google Drive folder? And you're like, well, I guess the best way to really boost our stock is to blow up the world.
Walter Goggins could have been the whistleblower. He could have been like, I got this recording of my wife.
Why didn't he?
I feel like there's a little bit missing, right? Because we see him learn that, and then we've seen the moment the bomb drops.
Yeah, which is how the show. I don't think
great opening scene.
Great opening scene, amazing. I think, and also to speak to this like overall like global synopsis of the show is it's not presented to us chronologically. Like the whole show opens with like Walton Goggins as Cooper Howard as his like normal self. Interesting enough, though, he's like a famous pre-war actor, but when we're introduced to him, he's performing like a cowboy show for a birthday party. It's unclear if he's maybe like fallen from grace and isn't getting these like high-paying jobs and has to kind of be this like Barney type entertainer.
I think that his wife like asked him to do it
as a favor. Okay.
To like, I think that's what I heard later on in the season. But go ahead, continue.
And so we're introduced with it in that way, but then incredible opening scene of very tragic where it's like the dog, like you just like sense this uneasiness of they're watching, I think on TV. Is there like a TV show that shows like if a bomb were to drop, what's it like stop, drop, and roll? Or am I getting that confused with another movie?
Maybe they do hear something on the TV, but the daughter's asking him about like the thumb trick. If the bomb is smaller than your thumb, like run.
For the hills. I get it. It's like a chilling opening scene where you see the daughter like looking out the window and you can see they're like in this giant like glass mansion. And so there's like I think at one point she's holding up her thumb and you just like see from her face, you don't really know what's happening yet. And then it cuts to like a wide shot where you can like see the glass of the mansion. You still see her holding up her thumb and you see just like this light explosion like in the distance. You can't really tell what it is. And then she asks her dad, like, what do you do or like, she says, your thumb or mine, meaning like if the explosion's bigger than your thumb or my thumb, it doesn't matter either size that they're like fucked. And so it's just this like really alarming, chilling scene. And then you see it from like Walt and Goggin. They show the bomb drop. They're all escaping. It's horrific. And then we are introduced to Lucy 200 years later in this like vault technology. And then throughout the show, we're kind of bouncing back and forth between kind of finding out how we got to where we are and getting backstories on all these people. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene is taken straight from the game too. I think it's Fallout 4 where you are like a character and you have to kind of outrun the bomb and like get into like hide from some soldiers and jump into a vault before like the world ends. So that was one aspect of the show that was taken straight from the game.
How many games are there in total?
There's 3 that I never played that I think are like on the OG, like an OG system that I never played, and I don't think they were that good. I think this is when they finally got good is Fallout 3. Out of the top of my head, we've got the 2 that I never played: Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas.
Fallout 3 was so good it made you miss a whole day of school.
Yeah, Fallout 3 is still the best one, I think. Yeah. And it's what's funny is like I still like don't know how that game ends because. This is so sad. I probably should like now that we're speaking of that, I probably should find out like how this game ends because I played that game nonstop, but I ended up going and living in the Dominican Republic for 2 years, like after my senior year of high school. Yeah. I played it, but then I just kind of put it down, and when I came back, I went right into college, and so I still have never like figured out the end of that game, which makes me so sad. I think there's 6 games in total if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And were there other scenes that you felt like were taken directly from the games this season?
Yeah, there's some like the ghoul attacks, like that happens a lot. Like they're getting ready to like harvest Lucy's organs, and the ghouls attack. Like that's straight from the game. Like the creatures coming out of nowhere, and you're not super like powered like your first 10 hours playing the game, and so like that scene where like the knight's kind of like fist fighting that bear, and then he just like hightails it and runs. That's straight from the game because at some point you put away your gun and you hold on to like the R button and you just sprint away because you're just fucked, and you know that you don't want to die or start over, so you just run away from the danger, which happens a lot because the ammo runs out or your guns break or your armor breaks or whatever. You just kind of hightail it and run. And I think the thing that was most accurate about the game to the show was just like, so the game has, like you described it perfectly, where you're talking, she leaves the vault, she's got to find her dad that's kidnapped, but it takes 8 episodes to get there. I think it was an 8-episode season because she's getting sidetracked, because she's getting trafficked for her organs. She has like this side thing with the knight. Like that is like one thing I put in my notes is it felt like a Fallout game because you have a mission that you're going on, and you meet this guy who's got this magic head that you're supposed to take somewhere. Like you just get sidetracked with all kinds of things, and you finally end up at your destination after 6 or 7 episodes. But the adventure that it takes you can be really entertaining. And as someone that played the Fallout games and then watched the show, that's one thing I just loved. It felt like a real Fallout game because of just like the world that you live in, the shit that you get pulled into, and the games, like, because they give you so much control of your own morality, you can kind of choose like when to be a good guy, when to be a bad guy. And that's, I think, what makes Lucy's character, like, I love Lucy. Like, I just think she's
Same.
just the sweetest thing. She's just this innocent kid in this world that's just so terrible. And one of my favorite scenes in the whole show is when she gives like that magic medicine to Goggins' character.
Yeah, me too.
Because he's probably like, why the fuck would she do that? Like, I just like, I've been torturing her this whole time for 3 days. I just sold her to like get some kind of profit off of her organs. She sees me dead and she's still going to help me. Like, in the world that they live in, that's got to be so foreign to him, and something that just, I think, really made it to where he's like, okay, whatever this girl's got, like, I gotta find out more. Because she's the one bright light in just this world of just darkness and gray, and I loved her character.
Yeah, I really loved that scene because she specifically says, so she's also now sick with radiation poisoning. So I don't know if that means eventually she will become a ghoul too. That part wasn't clear to me, but regardless, he keeps saying to her, like, if you're out here, the longer you're out here, the more you're going to see you have to be like me. And then, yeah, she gets sold. She escapes her organs getting harvested, whatever, gets all this medicine and gives it to him. And she says to him, like, you know, one thing I know is that I'll never be like you, or something like that. And I thought, for a show that wants to show us like how you can't be this naive person that believes in goodness and survive, that it's not a total indictment of goodness either. It's kind of showing that there's a way to carry that morality through real life, and that I thought was nice. It was a nice message.
Yeah. I like how she wasn't, she was raised in a vault, and there's definitely like innocence and some naivete to her, but you always, like, I always know that, like, the first time I watched, like, she's gonna go on that journey where she becomes more of a badass who can handle herself. I feel like she can handle her stuff from the beginning.
She's like plucky and competent.
Yes. And so she has like steps to learn that, but she already has like the tools, the abilities are already inside her. She just needed the surroundings to unlock her full potential.
Do we think that's because she was raised to be a really good manager? Is that why? Did it work? That's a dark thought. I don't.
That's pretty dark. Yeah, but. Yeah, we had all of us, sounds like we did a rewatch on this show. All seen it previously, and all I remember is like going into this is like, okay, I know that Lucy's dad is bad by show's end, but I don't know why. And then also when he gets captured, I thought he got murdered in the first episode. I was like, what the? I was like, I thought he was bad. How does he die? Like, how is he going to come back? And it's like, oh no, he was just wounded and taken away. But yeah, I did forget Moldaver, that she is essentially more of a good guy, or there's more to it than is first revealed. There's not necessarily good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah, super telling when Moldaver's giving her backstory of this is what your dad did, and the dad keeps saying, don't listen to her, but he doesn't offer up any other explanation. I'm like, you gotta.
And also, is Lucy's mom there as like a corpse?
She's a ghoul.
Okay.
I think that was her corpse, yeah.
I think Joey talked about this. I also did think that maybe I don't know, her and Moldaver seemed, I don't know. She kept her alive at that table. I don't know. I thought maybe they could have been together, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
That's for season 2 to explore.
Yes.
That was interesting because like the raiders usually like in the games are they're the bad guys. Like there's no question about it. Like they're the rapists, the monsters, the murderers, like all these different things. And radiation poisoning in the games is a real bitch because like your health gets lower. You have to get rid of your guns because you can't carry as much, and you have to pay like a shit ton of caps to like get rid of the radiation poisoning. So the radiation poisoning sucks in the games. But this was an interesting take on like the raiders, because the raiders in the games are just always awful people. But it always kind of leads up to like the culmination of like who's got the moral high ground, and is there any moral high ground like in this really fucked up world? Because like in Fallout 4, like the run that I recently played, you kind of have two options. Like there's these two groups. There's the Brotherhood of Steel, which like the guy was a part of like in this series, and they kind of want to be like the police of the Wasteland and like gather all these weapons, like help keep the current population safe or whatever. Then there's the Institute. The Institute is like this underground world of like scientists, and it comes to find out that your son is actually that was kidnapped is the leader of the Institute, and they want to blow up the world again and start over and have them kind of like rebuild it in a better way that's kind of free of radiation and stuff. And so you're kind of presented with this choice of like, do you side with your son who wants to start civilization over with science being like the main focal point of how they run the world, or the Brotherhood of Steel, which is create like a super military to protect the world and the people that are already living in this effed up world that we lived in. And you kind of have to choose. And in Fallout 4, like it's not the perfect scenario to choose from, because you come to find out that your son actually killed your wife and sacrificed her for the greater good. And at that point, you're just like, oh, fuck this kid. Like, you're going to side with the Brotherhood of Steel no matter what. And this one, I think, was a little more interesting, to where like there's that blood tie with like your dad and like his point of view, but then also like this raider who like essentially like this led this group that kind of raped, I guess not raped, because Lucy was a very willing participant in that first sexual encounter, but then he tried to kill her afterwards. Of just like these two groups, and her kind of struggling with like, well, like who do I feel most like drawn to with like this morality that she has, and that's kind of like the story of Fallout is it's such a fucked up world that you get to the end and you get to kind of both groups trying to build something different, and you have to kind of choose which side to align yourself with, and which I always think is kind of fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like the idea of having to choose between two imperfect choices, because what you just said, scientists wanting to re-blow up the world versus military hoarding, military technology. Neither of that sounds like a great option.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No.
But you got to pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can just turn it off and go to the Dominican Republic for 2 years, and you never have to pick.
Unplug for a little bit. Sounds
Yeah.
nice. It's so funny because this show is sci-fi, but it's also close to reality. Like, who has the finger on the nuclear bomb, and how close? And I'm curious, what's the closest we've ever come to
I don't want to
being
know.
completely annihilated?
I don't want to know.
Last week, a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago.
We're resting up on tectonic plates, but I also feel like all the countries are on tectonic plates. Like, anything could just slip and everything could collapse. But it's, yeah. So that's where this show is like escapism, but it's also kind of like overwhelming too, especially. So yeah, going back to rewatching this for the first time, I feel like, or rewatching this again, I did feel very like overwhelmed by it. And there was something about like the balancing between the two timelines. I was almost more interested in the timelines like pre-bomb explosion, like learning all that backstory. And I don't know how effective it would have been if there's a different world where this could have been told in a more chronological way, if something would have been lost in the contrast. But for me, like, I really didn't feel invested in a lot of these characters until like episode 5 or 6, which is like nearing the end of it, especially like the Maximus character. I really struggled to connect with him. I was not interested in his timeline whenever we'd cut to him. So yeah. And I think that was kind of my first view, and second view, I kind of shared those ideas. I also had like a lot of the plot points. I had no recollection of a lot of stuff that happened throughout the show too. So I don't know if either of you, like, what your thoughts were going to this. Did you enjoy it on second watch? Did you have some complaints, or like, what was your overall experience?
I liked having a mystery, so I did like the non-chronological storytelling, but I noticed this especially in the finale. I think the way they kind of held the trigger on reveals sometimes and would cut between different, because it's such a sprawling world, there's so many storylines. Sometimes that took the propulsion out of the story for me. So in the finale, Moldaver's like about to finally explain what's been going on, who her father is, what the head has, and then they cut back to Lucy's brother exploring the vault and learning the truth about the vault, which are all connected. So I see why they were jumping between those different storylines, but it's just that they then really chew the scenery of each scene so very long that then I kind of was like, I don't know. So what am I trying to say here? I enjoyed it, but I think it could have moved more quickly. And I don't know if it's just because the world is so big, so it's so hard for them to cut between these different storylines, or if it if it is something that's more easily solvable.
Is it that like each episode, like each storyline became so episodic where they're like bringing you to this crescendo and then it's like, okay, let's cut to the next
and then
group. And then it's like, you're like, wait, I was in suspense. And then with this new group, it's like they build you up again. You're like, oh my gosh. And then cut away. It's like, can we get one answer to one of these goddamn scenes?
It's like when you're reading a book that has alternating perspectives and then you get to the end of the chapter and you turn the chapter, it's somebody new and you're like, no, I want to keep reading about that character. It was like that a little bit.
Yeah.
And for Maximus, I will say I was really interested in him in the first episode where you're not sure if he ends up becoming the knight or the squire to the knight because someone else was tapped to do it, his friend. And then the friend was sabotaged, although you find out later on the friend did it to themselves because they were afraid. Basically, they get injured. They put their boot on. There's a knife in the boot or a blade in the boot. They were too afraid to be, they were ready to be a squire, but it seems like maybe Maximus did it because he wanted to be a squire so badly. And then he does it again, even though he didn't do it the first time, in taking the knight suit. And I just liked that complicated, especially in contrast to Lucy's character, somebody who does have less of a strong moral compass. But then after that, I was a little bit less interested. I don't know if that's because he was by himself a lot,
Yeah.
Like, I think like Pedro Pascal, and I'll get to my point on this one. It was like, I love Pedro. I will die for Pedro Pascal.
We all love Pedro. So take your time.
Good.
No need to rush it.
The character that I'm least invested with Pedro Pascal is the Mandalorian. Why? Because he's in a mask most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
Someone's in a mask most of the time. You're like, yeah, I get it. Like, he's a Brotherhood of Steel, but like, put that shit on when he's like fighting somebody. But like, when he's not fighting somebody, like, let it breathe a little bit, you know? And like, I like this character, like how he kind of found a moral compass, like with Lucy a little bit, because like again, like he's a product like of this world and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I liked his connection, you know, with Lucy and kind of how he gravitates onto her and her onto him. But the three main characters, he's by far the one that I was least interested in. Just because like Goggins' character and Lucy are just so good. Like, oh man, and like I'm sorry, I didn't realize that Goggins was like such a force until like this. Because like the first time like I watched the Fallout, like I watched it with the expectation that it wouldn't be good because video game adaptations hadn't really been that good to that point. I watched the show and I was like, it looks fine, you know. And then I just really enjoy it. Like every episode, they do like these little callbacks to the games where like the battery of his suit falls out. Like that happens all the time. The radiation poisoning, like the ghoul just being a really shitty human being, a really shitty world. Like that didn't surprise me at all. And then the Vault Dweller just kind of going about trying to figure out how to make do of whatever this world is. And the first time I watched it, I was like, this is awesome. Like the ghoul and Lucy, I'm huge fans of. The second time I watched, I really enjoyed the second time too. I don't mean to be a big time downer, but like what you said about this kind of stretching of like the reveals, where one trope that I hate in media is like when someone is telling you something important and the person you're conversing with is like, hang on, I'm busy, tell me later. It's like
no,
like let's stop doing that. Yes, like stop doing that. Like usually when people are doing that, like to have something important to say, let the person talk. I hate that trope. It happened I think once in the show and I was like, no, not this show too. And the second time of just like, I really just like I loved the first time I watched it, I loved Goggins' character, I loved Lucy's character. In the second showing, I really just loved Lucy's character more because, like you said, I think the stuff that the show is talking about, like untapped capitalism, the threat of nuclear war, a world with really shitty morals and people being rewarded with shitty morals, really just, I think it hit closer to home than I was expecting. And Lucy, because she's such a good person in this world, it causes her a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And she still continues to do the right thing. And like, I think in our current world where it's almost easier to either like one, be a shitty person, or two, keep your head down and just let the world be shitty.
Yeah.
Someone like Lucy that's like, I'm not going to be a shitty person. And I'm going to let you know that you're a shitty person while doing the right thing. That is by far, I think, the hardest path. That's the one she continues to take. And so, like, I'm all in for, like, Lucy season 1, season 2. I think that, like, especially, like, the current world that we're living in, I think we just need more people like Lucy's, because we're just living in a world with a lot of shitty morals and people just looking out for just themselves, and Lucy just doesn't do that.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I felt like she's an inspiring figure in this moment. But I do wonder if next season, just given what happened in the finale and that she's going off with the ghoul, I'm curious to see if she retains her do the right thing approach or if she becomes a little bit more jaded. I hope not, but I'd be curious to see what happens next.
Because Cooper Howard did seem to have be a very moral person. And it's just kind of, it's like, just because maybe that, it's kind of like, it would be a dark story, but I think really compelling is where we kind of skipped over the beats of how Cooper got from where he is then to now, like to follow that more with Lucy and be like, just because you say that you're not going to do the bad thing or just because it's something that you can't help it might be a message would be really dark and scary to
absolutely
see that.
Yeah, because you look into the abyss long enough, like the abyss looks back, right? And so like Lucy, she grew up in a vault, and like the vault dwellers are not the best people in the world, but like Lucy, she's very smart. She's very open with, like, I really enjoyed like when she got married, she's like, okay, we're having sex now. Like she knows what she wants and she knows what she needs and she does all these different things.
Even with Maximus being like, should we have sex?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
What?
Yeah, she's just, but like, I think the more time she like spends in this world, like it will, like, I think all of us, like the more times we spend like in the world that we live in, like it just, I don't know if, like, I'm not even sure the right word to like put on this. If it makes us more jaded, hardened,
corrupt.
Yeah, and like even like I don't want to even. I'm hesitant to even use this word, but like almost like makes us like smarter in a way, because like Goggins' character does some really immoral shit, but that guy has survived a long time because he recognizes the world that he lives in and he adapts to survive. And like it sucks, because he's willing to sell a girl for her organs to like make a few bucks and get some medicine, but he's surviving for what? Like, I don't know. Like maybe he found some purpose with like what he's trying to do with Lucy and all this different stuff. But there is like, I don't know, like a hardened evolution where you gain more knowledge to be able to survive. And so I guess Lucy's challenge, like for her next season, is like, how do you be the girl that gave the medicine to the ghoul who's undeserving, while also like trusting again now that the person that you love most, your dad, turned out to be the shittiest person on the face of the planet. Like that's got to affect her in some way, I would think.
Yeah, Goggins, the ghoul, he survived so long. He has had to become smarter. I'm sure that is what Lucy's about to set off on her own journey toward becoming as well. But I'm curious, like, why now did the one Moldaver make the strike on the vault? Why was the ghoul now going after Moldaver? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm wondering if there's like a piece missing of the...
Yeah, why is everything rolling into action now?
Because Lucy is an adult, like old enough to get married. So presumably there's been a lot of time
to
going, that's gone by.
It's been 200 years since the bomb's been dropped, right?
Yeah. Wait. So then how is Moldaver still alive? Wait a second. Now I have more questions.
Yeah.
Was she also frozen?
She had to have been, right?
And is the ghoul still alive because he's sick or because he also was frozen?
I thought because he became the ghoul, but then he has that thing that he injects into himself. It like prevents you from crossing over to a zombie or whatever the version of the zombie is.
And the irradiated, the ones that are radiated, like the ghouls, like they live forever. Like they're just like zombies now. I think the radiation destroys their mind and stuff. Like they turn into feral. As you take the medicine, like you retain the little bit of humanity that you have.
A really interesting like moral question too. It's like we are on this earth for a finite time. Like we know we have an end date, and when you cross over, there's like different beliefs and all that stuff too. But in a world where it's like you're exposed to radiation and you'll eventually succumb to something and do things out of your control, like I think there would definitely be some like moral corruption, or you'd act or behave differently than you normally would in different circumstances.
But wouldn't you, I don't know, but if it was me, wouldn't you want to maybe like end your life before that happens? Can you die? That's 200 years is a long time to be struggling to get that medicine to stay in your current state.
I don't know. To not have your nose and like dust get in it. He needs a nose plug.
That makeup looks so good though. Like he looks exactly like the ghouls in the game. It has been
Yeah.
like, he has to spend like 3 hours like doing makeup. I would assume like he looks great. But
I
the
didn't
answer
even
that
recognize him.
No.
The first
I
time
didn't
watched
either.
it.
I recognized his voice. I was like, I know that guy. And then they show the flashback. They're like, oh, I know
that
Goggins.
man?
Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyone involved with the vault tech, they experimented on themselves to like make themselves long living by injecting themselves with like low radiation.
Okay.
And then they do like the crypto freezing and all the cryo freezing to prolong their life. So anyone involved with like the vault tech company at all in those pre bomb times, they've been like genetically augmented to live long lives.
Okay. Well, my question stands. Like, why now? Why did everything ignite in this moment? I guess it's dependent upon. I'm just gonna keep calling him Ben from Lost because I don't remember his name, but Ben from Lost finally having the technology, sneaking the technology out of the Enclave that Moldaver wants. Maybe that's what it was.
But she captures.
I don't know
Did that
why.
happen? But she captures Lucy's dad before.
Yeah. Well, but maybe
we don't know for
maybe she
sure.
was aware because
But they're close
he
to
was
it.
setting out to go find Moldaver, so she maybe knew that. I don't know how she would have known that the man was coming with the tech she needed.
Yeah.
But still, why also I mean, I know she's angry at McLean, but why capture him and put him in a little bird cage in the top of the Griffith Observatory?
Just fuck him.
She's like, if this were ever to be a TV show that people watch, this would be.
I mean, it was quite stunning.
When they show her like pre-war, she is someone that I actively make fun of like on social media, where it's like the conspiracy theorists, everything is like has this like twisted web, like Delta Airlines is actually trying to screw you, all these different things. I'm just like, you're so weird, like the government is a bunch of whatever. And like I like these, so I have some friends like out here in Wyoming, I call them preppers, they call themselves survivalists, and they're really nice, like they're really nice people. But anytime there's like a disaster, they get really excited. Because like all of them have just stockpiled weapons. All of them have just like fucking like have food everywhere. They have like these bunkers in the woods. And every time like Trump bombs Iran or there's a natural disaster in Florida, they're like, our moment's come. Like all these stuff that we've been reading and watching and all this stuff we've been talking about nonstop, the people that have whose eyes have glossed over, like it's our time and we're going to be proven right. And like I tell you, and I say this with a lot of humility, I made fun of those people a lot, but after watching Fallout and watching The Last of Us, the episode with Bill and Frank, I make fun of those guys a lot less, because if that ever happens, shit, those are the first people I'm running for help to. I'm like, you know what? Like, Moldave, my bad. Like, I always believed you. Can I have a shotgun, please? Or like, hey, Bill, I know you've been raising cows in the back of your yard. Like, you were right. Like, the government was all Nazis. You're right. Like, freaking Big Pharma was putting drugs in us. Can I have a steak, please? Like, those are the first people I'm running to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like a matter of you can't really live your life assuming the world's going to end.
Yeah,
because then you're not really living life. But of course, like in the end of the world, in end times, I'm completely unprepared. I think I have one can in my pantry.
When Alice and I live together, she's like, we have to have water in the apartment. We need to have bottled water in the apartment. And then we went camping one time and took the water bottles and never replenished our water stock.
I do have bottles of water, and I did get a crank radio, and I got
the Declaration of Independence.
I did get the Declaration of Independence. No, the Constitution.
Oh, the
Constitution.
That should come in handy once the world ends.
Well, just in case, it disappears from the internet, I feel like I should have it.
I have the Declaration, so I remember how to pledge allegiance to the flag.
That's not in there.
Something about survivalists, though, like, and what's different from this show is you Fallout, like, these vault people, like, they created these vaults and they intentionally bombed everyone to then justify people wanting to use these vaults. Am I right in that?
I think
Whereas,
so.
like, survivalists, like, it's kind of like, I don't know if like catch-22 is the right term, but it's like they are preparing for the worst, but then it almost seems like in that specific example, they're kind of excited by the the idea of the world ending because like it's like they were right
when
and
they're really
prepared,
invested in
where
it.
it's like so yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. For me personally, like I can't live every day like the world's gonna end because I just wouldn't be. I don't have the means, first of all, and even if I did, I don't think I don't know. Not that I like the world that we're in right now, but I like the autonomy. I like being able to walk outside and not turn into a ghoul. Like I like all those elements. So it's like, yeah, if the world were to move forward and really twist that extreme, I don't know if I'd want to be present for that. And then, so I'd have so many questions for survivalists too. Is they just like, do they just think they're going to be able to rebuild and everything's going to be fine? And do they almost, are they excited by the idea that Iran's getting bombed and it's stirring the pot? Like, do they like the pot getting stirred? Like, so many questions.
We're going to an interesting place, but if you want, you can look at the prepper Reddit subreddit.
I don't know if I want to do that.
I have looked at before.
I feel like the internet is so skewed also because like all these commenters are written by people that are anonymous to a degree too. So it's like, do they even believe what they're writing online? Are people influencing other people by what they're writing online anonymously? Like it's all very complicated and interesting. And if only I could just get unbiased viewpoints on things. That's what I'm yearning for the most. Because we all like, even with like Lucy, not Morpheus, what's his name?
What?
Who's the
Maximus.
Maximus and the Ghoul, like are they all like archetypes of morality? Is that right to say? Or like I just feel like Maximus and the Ghoul kind of overlap to a degree because you can at times you don't know if they're going to be good or bad.
Maximus is like an anti-hero, and the Ghoul is sort of like the monster with the heart of gold. Okay, maybe.
I think Maximus finds a lot of like his identity too in like the communal good, like being part of like a community with like the Brotherhood of Steel and like wanting that recognition and wanting to be part of like, I don't know, like the brotherhood of like whatever he's a part of. It seems kind of like that's where he finds the most meaning until he finds Lucy, versus like Goggins' character. Like at one point, like I really like you watch his character of like, why is he trying so hard to keep living? Like, honestly, like he lost his wife, he lost his kid, he's a radiated ghoul. Like at what point and he's doing like just really shitty things to survive. I'm like, at what point are you just gonna like, you know what? Fuck this. Like this is the world that I live in. Like I'd rather just not be alive. Like if it was me like in his spot, I don't know if I would have the will to keep living, you know?
Yeah.
Is there something though, like just fueled by this anger and revenge? It's kind of like the last part of his humanity that he's connected to, because they even go out of their way to really describe that ghouls can't even taste food anymore. Is that right? Like they can't even enjoy
sad
those elements. So it's like, for me, I really felt that he's fueled by that. Like why isn't he just ending his life? But he had a daughter that we assume died in the bombing. His wife tragically turned into a ghoul. He's just fueled by something, and he probably just like is probably really angry at himself too, that maybe to a degree he felt that he himself could have prevented or taken a stronger stand to prevent these events happening. But with all these three main characters, like is it right to say like they were all like victims of circumstance? Like they had no involvement in what happened. So I think that's also what ties them together, because there's even with Maximus, there's a moment where they do like a flashback. I forget what the detail was. It was like,
yes, he was a citizen of the town the Vault Tech bombed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sandy Shores or something like that.
Yeah, and even to complicate it even more in a really interesting way is like there's Vault dwellers, but the morality, the viewpoints change so much. We see Vault to Vault. Like not every Vault it acts or behaves the same way. I feel, and 33 to 31, there's like some 31 got completely eradicated. Is that what happened? And they're trying to like rebuild that. And then they also go to another vault where everyone they bring in people from the outside,
take in refugees.
But then the leader is like very racist towards land dwellers. They all have like different
They were the science vault. So
Okay, yeah.
the idea was that it was originally started where scientists would have, which I guess is from the game, scientists would have complete control, but then it led to them doing experiments on their own people. And now they have descendants who are kind of mutated. And that's why the leader of that vault only has like one eye or whatever. And they also bizarrely have like they worship Moldaver. I don't really know why. That was kind of strange.
Oh, yeah.
And then my favorite part is when they're angry at Lucy because she's broken into the science experiment ward, and you think they're gonna kill her, and then they're like, "You have been exiled." She's like, "Oh, I get to go back outside," and they're like, and this is really serious. So we're gonna give you 10 bags of food, and someone will carry them to the surface for you.
Like, I'm really pumped for season 2. As like someone that played the game, like the new characters, I'm like all on board on. Even though like Maximus, like his character was interesting enough where I'm like, yeah, like let's see where he goes. And like he's got the armor, so obviously he's like the muscle behind like the like Goggins is, I guess, brain and Lucy's heart.
That's good.
But they the New Vegas, like I said, it's probably the most beloved game like in the franchise, which is a lot of pressure for I think the people that make the season. I hope they do a good job. I'm sure they will. I think Fallout is not easy, but it's a franchise where you can kind of deviate from the sacred timeline and you not piss off like 60% of the fan base. There's in the end scene of season 1, they show a skull. And that plays a big part into season 2. That animal is called a Deathclaw, and those things are just a pain in the ass in the game. They come from like during the initial days of like the Fallout, where the governments were trying to survive. The U.S. government and the Russian government were trying to like collaborate together to like make like a super soldier to retake over the world. And when the world finally fell, like they just got out and they run amok. And a Deathclaw is basically like this giant lizard with like these massive like razor hands with like these horns and this spinal tail is like 12. They're like 12 feet long. And if you haven't played the game for like 40 hours and you're not like overpowered and have armor and guns, they kill you with just swipe. Like they're just overly powered creatures. And there's a scene of them in the season 2 trailer, which I'm sure will make people really excited. The villain in Fallout New Vegas, like Vegas, I think in the current day is a city that's built to profit on every addiction and every human desire that a human can have. And the current leader of New Vegas in the game is someone very similar. He's just really nasty, dirty guy, and I think he's a villain in the show. And so I think there's a lot of good things happening. I like how these characters are going. And I'm glad that my first watch of season 1, just how my expectations were exceeded. And I was really excited to see just a good video game adaptation because they're so kind of few and far between. And I hope that they do a good job in season 2. I think Amazon Prime will. I think Amazon Prime with their projects, they do a really good job. I'm a huge fan of like The Boys and Gen V and to love Jack Ryan when it was on. And so I've just got really high hopes for season 2.
So it's interesting to hear that New Vegas is like the golden precious timeline. That like could it be like the way that the video games set up? It sounds like the Fallout, the first show, kind of diverged a bit from what the video games are like. Would you say that New Vegas could, like the whole storyline itself, could be translated with the characters that we have currently from Fallout season 1?
Yeah, I think so. I think they could. I think Fallout is like that unique kind of choose your own path IP to where you can take some risks, but as long as you hit the same story beats, I think you should be okay. And like I never finished New Vegas either because I started college, which sucks. I need to finish these games. Like the one I finished was Fallout 4.
Before season 2 comes out, you got to finish all these games.
God, this is bullshit. What the hell? Like talking through this, I'm like, I've never finished these yet. But Fallout 4 I did finish, but Fallout 3 and New Vegas I didn't. But in New Vegas, like it does, yeah, I think, yes, I did. I did finish New Vegas because you get the choice between, I think cleaning the water of like the entire wasteland or blowing up New Vegas because it is kind of like the source of all scum and villainy for the current United States. And I picked the latter I blew it up. And so I don't think that happens. I don't think that would happen in like this in this iteration, because like there's still like the storyline of the game that is unfolding like just in a different part of the world. Like, I don't know. But I think you can do it fine. I think they're gonna add, I think they've got more money, so they can add like the Deathclaw and make it believable. They can add some like the more creatures in the series. And as long as they kind of keep the pace up with the morally complex characters and the personal choices of morality, while also hitting the same game beats, I think they'll be fine.
So it's Mr. Robert House. Is that the bad
Yes.
guy in New Vegas?
Yeah,
And it looks like he's being played by Justin Theroux.
Whoa.
Dang, that's awesome.
Who's pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay, I'm glad that like we're doing like there's some shows that kind of release seasons not 3 years apart. Because like I just was like on a podcast and we just ranted for like 40 minutes where it's like we were talking about like the Rings of Power, like a 3-year wait, Stranger Things, like, you know, like these little kids are married now. My gosh.
Severance was another big one for us. There's a huge gap between.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like 3-year gap?
It was.
Yeah.
So like it's tough to like, I guess maybe not tough, but like you have to rewatch it and like to be engaged with like these characters and like I was telling like I was on this podcast, we were talking about The Last of Us, and because the creators of The Last of Us talked about having the end of the second game be a 4th season that comes out like in 2029. And I'm like, bro, no.
2029?
Yes, I'm like, no. Like you, and like I'd watch it, but I'm a total stan. Like you talk about like people that aren't stans, like you're supposed to like, okay, Pedro Pascal's character was killed in early 2025, and you're gonna expect the audience to receive an emotional conclusion to that storyline in the middle of 2029? Ain't fucking gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen.
Is that the next season? Or are you saying there's gonna be the season after that?
The season after that, the season after it. I was like, no, if for them to like really hit this story beat, they have to finish The Last of Us second game in the next season. Make it 12 episodes. Like, don't give us another fucking 7-episode season. Like, you know, make us wait 2 years and give us 7 episodes. I'm like, no, bro. So I'm glad that like Fallout is trying to, I think Amazon's pretty good with their projects, with the one exception being the Rings of Power, because that show cost a fucking $1 billion to make. But like The Boys comes out like every 14 months, Fallout, you know, coming out a year and a half after the first season. I would like to see more of that. And like I think Game of Thrones is like the example that the guy I was talking to was talking about, where like the House of Dragon season 3 is going to be like a 2.5-year wait. Like there's one point of Game of Thrones where they waited like 2.5 years to release a new season. That's just too fucking long. Like I know we have to be patient because art takes time, but people's memory, their emotional investment, I think has limits. I think these people need to take into consideration.
I just worry too much time between seasons. Like you can overthink things and things can get like overwritten, or they'll spin it, or they kind of. Whereas I almost feel like having the pressure, not always, of course, give writers the time they need, but sometimes it's like it's a luxury of too much time where it's like, they kind of overthink it. I hope I'm happy that Fallout season 2 is coming out much sooner than some of these other TV shows.
Same.
Me too.
One aspect that we haven't talked about on the show is there's a canine.
Yes.
Is the German Shepherd a pretty big character in the video game?
There can be. In the game, you kind of get to pick a companion if you want. You're kind of wandering through the game, and so like my companion in Fallout 4 recently was a ghoul. There's a ghoul that's like a spy.
You have a ghoul companion?
Yeah. So you go throughout the thing, and it's like you have like these side adventures with these characters, and this ghoul that kind of does like undercover investigations to find out secrets of the Wasteland. He became my companion because I did a favor for him, and he's like, well, let me come with you. And they help out because they can with a ghoul, like a dog is a great companion because he can carry some of your guns, which means you can carry more guns because you have weight limits. They attack, and they're obviously dogs, so they're not like constantly talking like throughout your story, but they're a little more vulnerable because they're dogs. Like they can get killed easier, and they have to find like a new dog and tame it, because they're like wild dogs in the Wasteland. You kind of have to like give it some food and tame it and make it to be your friend and train it to like attack and stuff. And like the robot that tried to like harvest your organs, I've had one of those as a companion. Those are really good, but when they get attacked enough and they get ready to die, they blow up without like giving you any warning at all. And so like you'll be fighting like some bear and it will just blow up. You're like, God, well, shit, that would have been nice. So I'll give you like at least a countdown or something. But they didn't. So I got the ghoul. I got a ghoul where they're really helpful. But then if they add this in season 2, there's mutants. They're like these massive human beings that like were experimented on again by the government and they escaped, but they became like 12 feet tall, just green, muscular, very low intelligent humans. And for most part, they're like raiders, they're cannibals, like they do all these like terrible things. Every once in a while, you find one that kind of escaped the clan, and they're fairly nice, and they can carry a lot of weight, and you can make them be your companions too, and they're kind of fun. But mainly, they're monsters and evil, like in the Wasteland and stuff. But the dog for the TV show, I think that was the one they went with, just because it's the most. Like people gravitate towards dogs. And then as far as like the aesthetics of like the art that they're showing to promote the show, having like like Goggins in the desert with a cowboy hat with a dog next to him, like that is some awesome marketing where it's like
Wild West gunslinger
with the puppy.
Yeah, but that's interesting to choose that in the video game. You can choose your companion. It doesn't necessarily have to be a canine. Yeah.
But it did feel like a video game element. I was like, oh, that definitely was probably from the game.
Well, and maybe I'm also getting it mixed up with Red Dead Redemption is another video game. Isn't it like a gunslinger has a German Shepherd? Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking of too. Which also is a video game where you can make decisions that influence whether you're, a good guy or a bad guy. If I have that right.
That's going to be a good one. If they ever can find the right people to adapt that, I think that'll be good. It's just crazy. Like video games, I don't know why they're so hard, but like you get some that are amazing, and then you get some like Borderlands that were just. I mean, did you guys watch Borderlands?
No.
It was terrible.
But isn't it kind of like, yes, there's like amazing narratives in video games, but they're so amazing is because you get the ability to kind of choose. Like, yes, there's like overarching plot points, but like you're saying in Fallout, there's like these side quests you can do, and you can make these decisions that influence the game. So it's like the TV show's experiences, you're kind of just witnessing it, and maybe it's for every other person, it's different because it's different than their experience because you can't capture it all.
That makes me think about something I learned when I was looking, as I've never played the Last of Us video game, but when I was kind of looking into what happens in the game versus the show for one of my video essays, I found out that, and this is a spoiler, people who haven't, for someone under a rock who hasn't seen The Last of Us season 1, but
they're waiting until 2029 when all the seasons come out.
But in the game, when Pedro goes through the hospital and kills everyone to save Ellie, that there is no choice. You can choose to do it in a way that will kill fewer people, but you have no choice but to enact violence to save this one person. And I feel like that's why it works so well as a TV show, or it could have been a movie too, because that's a choice that is thematically really rich. People are going to have emotional responses to it. And the video game didn't allow you to alter that.
Yeah, they give you a choice, but it's not.
It doesn't really change the impact.
Outcome. Yeah, that's interesting. While we're on the topic of The Last of Us, once again, really quick, like 5 years before the TV show even came out, I remember I had read on a subreddit how amazing the story is itself, and I actually went on YouTube and watched all of the cutscenes from The Last of Us, I think season 1 and 2, and I was like gripped. I was like, they could have just released that into a TV show. It would have been amazing. Yeah.
So you know what happened at the end of the second game, right? Like I'm not gonna, with my comment, I'm about to say I'm not gonna spoil anything.
But doesn't the season 2 line up with what happens in season?
I think that we miss a little bit of what happens next.
But
I don't know.
Game, you don't know what happens in the game?
I had a guess when I finished the episode, but now I'm kind of forgetting. I feel like if I'm not going to find out till 2029, I'm okay. You could just tell me.
Okay. My next comment is massive spoiler, and you guys might not find out till 2029 what happens. But
I think Allison doesn't want to find out, so I think
I was like, do it, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, no, don't do it.
I will say this, like I think the one thing about video games that I like to go to your comment is that you kind of become that person, which I think makes people just really invested, like in the story and what happens, and all these different things. And The Last of Us Game 2, I won't spoil the ending because the ending is like, it's amazing. It's also just it's The Last of Us, so it's great. And it's also sad. And it's just it is what it is. But the game makes a really controversial decision midway through where you're playing as Ellie. You watch Joel get his brains beaten in, and you're Ellie. You're just kind of mowing your way through Seattle until that scene that you talked about where Caitlin Deaver's character shows up, kills Captain Wyoming, Jesse, who I love deeply. He's our one superhero we have in Wyoming. Now he's dead. And then the perspective is flipped. That happens in the game too, where you then play her story for 12 hours, where you're kind of surviving as this character. And like, when you first kind of switch it, I was like, I hate this bitch. Like, she killed Pedro Pascal. She killed Joe Miller. What's her deal? And then you find out like where she's coming from. You find out what her motivation is. You find out the pain that she deals with, her community, she's not a bad, she did a really bad thing, but she's a really, really decent person. And you're stuck with her for 12 hours to where when the conflict finally reaches its crescendo and Ellie and Caitlin Deaver's character are in a essentially fight to the death, you're kind of torn. You're kind of torn because you've spent a lot of time as this person in this video game. And I just think I don't know if that will translate to the TV show, because as much as like you can love Caitlin Deaver as an actor, if you can hear her story, see her story, you're not her. Like, you don't get to actually like push your R button and see her shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Or like run away from a zombie because you don't want to start over. You want to see her die again. And there's nothing he's going to translate. But with the Fallout series, I think it's a little easier to do that with video games as a whole. But the same thing with like, you talk about just coming around again to Red Dead Redemption. There is so much of that where like you become that person and you get to choose kind of which path you take, that when that story is adapted, because it's an amazing story, it's going to still piss a lot of people off, because they're going to get to a point where he chooses path A when most people chose path B, and you're going to have a whole bunch of just video game nerds online going to Reddit and just talking shit for the next 12 years.
Yeah, which I think is such a genius element of The Last of Us, to really switch the character that you're playing as, almost like who's in opposition of the person you've been following for so long, who ends up murdering someone that you were playing as. That you care about deeply. And so even with Fallout 2, it's like, to get all these different perspectives and to really complicate it. That's like what's most amazing about storytelling, is to see it from so many different viewpoints and make you think in different ways. And we're all just people with our own problems, and you can never know what other person is going through. All we can know about is like we have the context of our internal thoughts, but then it's like you don't know what someone else is going through.
You guys are gonna love. You guys are gonna be torn with like how it ends, but I think you guys will love. Just there's a crucifixion involved. There's a bunch of human traffickers involved. The climax happens in Santa Barbara, on a beach in Santa Barbara. Like, just as like two California people, I think you guys are gonna be like, this is
for Fallout.
Awesome. No, this is for Last of Us.
For Last of Us, okay.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Yeah, you guys like it. Fallout it's still in. There's some crucifixion in Fallout too, but I doubt that they would. The spirit of the show is like it's funny because like the Fallout. This will be the last thing I'll say on it. But like it's a horrific world that they're living in, but like they inject enough, I don't know, stuff into it to where it's almost like it's like when you're taking really shitty medicine, but they put a little sugar in it. Because like you'll be fighting a bear that's like ripping this person's arms off like one by one, while like the 40s music is playing that your grandma would listen to, and you're like, the scene is horrific, but like the music is kind of making me want to like call grandma and see how she's doing.
Yeah.
Or like Lucy will watch Maximus, or not the Maximus, the Ghoul headshot to cannibals, and she's kind of like her. Like you can see it like through her eyes and like the innocence of like what she's witnessing, while Johnny Cash's so doggone loathsome is like passing through her head. Where there's like, I don't want to call it, it's not humor, but it's like it's
the juxtaposition. It's ironic. It's like the music, the theme of it is kind of in contrast with what we're seeing on screen, but it kind of it all ties together very nicely too, because it's tying back to the pre-bomb world, like the pre-war area. The pre-war area is when this music was of the time. It's kind of like the last time music was made. I don't know why bubbles keep popping up on my screen.
We'll figure it out. But you'll never see that in like The Last of Us. If someone's getting crucified, there's going to be really sad music that's playing, really intense music playing. You're going to hear like just you're gonna see people's emotions on their face because they just give it to you the way it is. Versus like Fallout, they do like that irony where we'll show you somebody getting crucified, but why don't you jam out to Taylor Swift's new album while you do it?
There's style to it. Yeah.
There was something, and I know that's one of the things that I do know about the Fallout game is that it does play a lot of music from that time period when you're playing throughout.
Yeah.
I did in this show, it was kind of the things that I got a little exhausted by is I feel like they relied on the needle drops a little too much, where I kind of just would have liked just a regular score, but that comes from someone who didn't play the video game, so I'm sure you can't win. I'm sure people who played the video game, they're like, where are all the needle drops?
No,
from
you're
the
right.
video game?
I would agree with you because the score in Fallout is really beautiful. Like it does have like the elements of like The Last of Us, where it's like very like 3-key piano that kind of just gives you like a, I don't know, just a vibe of just how expansive this world is and how horrific, but also at the same time how beautiful it is. But it mainly happens while you're alone with your character, because there's a lot of trekking in Fallout where to get from Boston point 1 or point A to Boston point B, you might have to walk, I don't know, for 6 minutes in game time, just with your gun and your dog, just kind of walking. And that's where they kind of interject a score. It's just a very light piano. You can, like, I work to it. Like when I have just a bunch of like busy work and receipts and emails, I'll turn on like Fallout ambiance music with like light rain on YouTube, and just some really beautiful scores come up. Yeah. It's really nice. That's a great point. I would have liked that as like a Fallout fan. But it just doesn't happen that often, like in Fallout, like the TV show, where it's just Lucy trucking across the wasteland all by herself, where you can kind of interject that score. So I hope they can do that in season 2, because Fallout does have a really beautiful score.
Yeah, season 1, hopefully it really introducing these 3 characters and laying all the groundwork, and hopefully with the golden storyline of New Vegas, hopefully they're able to settle into these characters a little more.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, what questions do you got?
All right, well, the first one, I had 4, but one of them we already answered beforehand. Allison, when you were coming on, Joe told me all about like how like the queer cinema Catchup got started and just what you guys do and you guys' story. That's beautiful.
Thanks, Joe.
So like the first thing I'll do is just plug your channels. Like for anyone listening to us like on the Locked Off Logic, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, whatever. Like go check out like Queer Cinema Catchup, 5 stars, subscribe. Easy way to support like these 2 amazing people. And their story is just amazing on how they connected and like just all that you guys are doing. So that's the first thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
2 is if you both like listen to, like for my audience, listen to you both. If you both could recommend one movie, either that you've seen this year, one that you just really enjoy, or you're thinking about lately, what movie would that be?
Joe?
Happy Together is a recent queer movie from 1997. It's a Wong Kar-wai movie. It's just like very like an incredible mood piece, really powerful. And I think the best stories are when there are queer characters, but it's like not the main point of our focus of the story. I thought a really powerful movie.
Well, I'm glad you covered the queer cinema part of Queer Cinema Catchup, because that's not where my mind was going. I was going to recommend the last movie I saw in theaters, which was Weapons. Which is a film. It's a horror film, but also sort of a comedy, and it just a very interesting tone, and it really stuck with me. So I'd say go check it out.
Cool. Same question, but for TV shows.
Well, I love TV. So everyone should check out Wayward on Netflix. It's because we're actually going to interview the writers in a few days. And so if you watch it, then you can come listen to the interview.
So what's a movie that you go to, Tyler? What's a TV show that you'd recommend?
Oh, I just made a list on this the other day, actually. So
yes,
it's the one that I just recently saw in theaters was One Battle After Another. I loved it.
I'm seeing that tomorrow in this division. Dude. I'm so excited.
There is a scene with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's no spoilers, but you'll see it where because like working like nonprofit and like working just like sex crimes and stuff, like One Battle After Another is how I would like name my book if I were to write one, because it is just a constant struggle. And there's a scene with Leo DiCaprio where he's just trying to do this thing and he just can't do it. And he just looks at the camera and he's just like, life, man. life, and he just screams it, and I'm just like, I did that like 5 times this week, where just like that same face, that same reaction. Really good show. I really enjoyed it. But the movie that I'll recommend is actually one that got it's similar but got way less attention and made way less money. But it's called She Rides Shotgun.
Oh, interesting.
I haven't even heard of that.
Oh, watch the trailer. If it's not going to be still showing. I bet it's streaming by now because it came out like in August. I love that show. I love kind of the trope of like the dad he's just tired and he's done and he's an addict or he's whatever, and he's kind of forced to step up because something happens. Like, I think She Rides Shotgun, in my opinion, is a slightly better version of One Battle After Another story-wise, but not as well filmed, but one that I enjoyed more. It's
interesting.
She Rides Shotgun. It only made like $10 million, but it stars
Taron Egerton.
Yes, and he is
I like him.
Oh, he's incredible. He's so good. And the ending, it's such a good ending, but it's also like, you know what I'm talking about? You're just like, damn it. Like it's an ending, but it's
that will sit with you for a while.
Yeah. So I would recommend that. And like this year, there's been a lot of good TV shows that have come out this year. Like on my list, Andor was great. Last of Us was great. The Pit was amazing. I love Daredevil. I'm loving Gen V. I loved Seth Rogen's The Studio, which I usually don't like Seth Rogen stuff, but The Studio I thought was amazing.
Hilarious.
Oh,
we
yes.
love movies.
Yeah, so good.
Hilarious, but also really stressful.
Yeah.
I watched some episodes with my parents, and they like started watching. They stopped watching because it was like too much. Like, this is what people in Hollywood deal with. It was it's very anxiety inducing.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like the money they spent on like a Kool-Aid movie, knowing it's gonna be shit.
Yeah.
And just being like, but it will make money. I'm just like, oh no, what's happening?
I know, it's so depressing.
But the one I think I would recommend is the one that maybe is a little, because a lot of the ones I just named off were like really well known and won a bunch of awards. But one that I really enjoyed on Netflix was called Untamed. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
It stars I forget the guy's name, but it's the guy that used to be the Hulk, like the
Eric
OG.
Bana.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he plays
Sam Neill's in it also. Wow.
And it's filmed in Yosemite National Park, and like I'm a hiking bitch. Like I love to be in the woods, and like in Wyoming, like we have Yellowstone and Grand Teton and all these different things, and I've never explored Yosemite. And after watching that show, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get to Yosemite. A lot of my listeners are from Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, Texas, Florida, just really conservative states. And like your guys is like just your experience. Like I wrote down your recommendation on like Happy Together, like is just like a good queer story.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sharing authentic like queer stories, it really put people in a capacity to just have like more understanding on like what you guys go through, like what you guys have like grown up with. And cause like in my foundation, we get a lot of boys and girls that are LGBTQ plus, and were exploited because of that. Like people took advantage of like their sexuality. And so like on our pod, like we feel it's really important to just like share their stories so people can understand like what those kids go through and how people look to like take advantage of like those kids. And so like if you guys were to point somebody to either a TV show or a movie, it can be one or the other or both, like whatever you guys want, to a specific form of media to where like people that are listening to my show can have a better understanding of what the queer experience is like, what would that be?
So Sean Baker came out with Anora last year and it won Best Picture. A few years prior to that, or maybe even a decade before, I think we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of it, is he directed this movie called Tangerine, which follows 2 trans women of color in Los Angeles. And it could be like, I don't know how strongly it would be looked back on it because it's directed by a straight white male, but I just thought it was a very like compelling narrative that showed people that maybe I don't interact with very much in real life. It showed them in a very like empathetic light and really powerful. It was just like I thought a really interesting story. So Tangerine, I'd recommend that movie.
I mean, it's a really good movie. And I think Joe's right. Definitely a window into a different perspective. I think it will. I think it's been pretty critically acclaimed. I think it's going to stand the test of time, Joe. I'm pretty sure. Maybe this is like a very random recommendation. I haven't actually seen the show in its entirety, but there's a show that used to be on ABC called The Fosters about a kid and her brother who get fostered by two women who are married and have their own children, and it's like kind of like a family drama. Like it's not really about the fact that there are two women who are married, but I think that might be a good like example of like, let's see what a couple is like that's taking in kids who need help and they just have their normal problems that they're going through raising kids.
It's called The Fosters.
Yeah, it was on ABC back in the day.
Good. So watch The Fosters as a good warm up before Tangerine.
I mean, Tangerine it's a very stressful movie. You know what I'm saying?
You're like thrust into a lot because it's dealing also with sex work is like another element to it. So that it's like, that's why I'm kind of like hesitant too, because also Sean Baker, a lot of his movies focus on sex workers, and Alice and I've discussed in the past too. It's like, why is this man so fixated on sex workers? But then it's also people in that line of work aren't featured in feature length movies. So yeah, that's where I kind of like bounce between the two, and then to focus on these two women of color, women who are trans also as sex workers. It's like it is a lot compiled in this moment. It's a very kind of like extreme version of a person.
I did think of another one.
Yeah.
The Wedding Banquet remake that just came out this summer.
Yeah.
Some queer couples living their lives, and
you got comedian Bowen Yang, who I feel like is a familiar face for people, and then Oscar nominated Lily Gladstone's in it too. It's a good movie.
Really
set in Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why one thing I love about like just like media as a whole is like obviously I love like the escapism and just like kind of like fleeing my own, the stuff that we have going on just day to day, but also like media and movies and TV show, like they help people feel seen. They can tell these stories in a way that people understand. Like, so like in our foundation, like we work with a lot of migrants, and like migrants, like just have been demonized, like migrants are just, and like from people that I love dearly, they're like, well, they should just come in legally. You're like, why are they going through like all these systems and stuff? And these same people, I'm like, so my favorite movie of all time, like I have it on the poster out there is Logan, with Hugh Jackman and, the X-Men movie. And
great movie.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I'm excited. It steals from it though that they bring him back.
Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't love. Yeah. I just try to pretend that like this Logan is dead because they used his skeleton to like kill all those stormtroopers or whatever. It's a different. It doesn't. It's.
But great movie, Logan.
Yeah, I love that movie, and it describes because a lot of the girls in my foundation are immigrants who are survivors of abuse and exploitation, and Daphne Keene's character is that little girl in that movie gives a great performance overall as like Wolverine's daughter, but she's also an immigrant and she's a victim of abuse, and so the way that she reacts, the way that she's fleeing to Canada to get the hell away from these people that are trying to kill her, I was like, you watch that movie, that is a very accurate representation of like what actually looks like of migrating to a different country. Like you guys can't hate migrants then love the movie Logan at the same time, because that is a story of migration. And I hope that if I was in their shoes and if I didn't have any food and people were trying to kill me and the people that I care about, that I would have the testicular fortitude to go to a different place to be able to feed the people that I care most about. That is what the story of like immigration looks like. And Logan, I think, tells that story in a way that like someone that maybe like can read about migrants on the news can like, oh, well, these migrants, whatever. Like if you watch that movie and then if you're watching it, if the people I'm talking about are watching it in a way that they're willing to like understand someone else's experience through media, I hope that they become more compassionate. And so like having you guys on and like asking you guys that question, like I'm really excited just to like dive into this media, because like I feel like I'll learn more of just like the experience as well. And because like I have kids in my foundation that are gay, they're lesbian, that are trans, and they tell me about what they experience or what they've experienced like in the back in the day with their religious communities, or what they experience currently in their religious communities as a whole. But there's still like that separation of like they're a person, they're their person, I'm my person. And so engaging in media that helps put me, I think, more in the shoes of someone whose experience is different than me and different than people that are listening to this podcast, I think is beneficial. So I'm just thankful you guys would share those recommendations with me. But my last question is, a movie is made about queer cinema Catchup. Who are the two actors that play Allison and Jill?
Oh my gosh.
These are
This
fun.
is
These
so
are really fun questions.
exciting.
I'm going to be really fun. I'm just going to immediately, just because we're talking about Wayward, I'm going to pick Toni Collette because I want to see what her take on me is like.
Okay.
She can disappear into a role. I'd like to see her disappear and see what she would make of me.
I was just going to be very basic and say I would want Emma Stone to play me because I love Emma Stone, and
Have Emma Stone and Toni Collette been in a movie together?
I don't think so.
I think we're laying the groundwork for like a really good movie idea. So thank you, Tyler, for presenting this.
Yeah, I like the way this movie is going. I can already see it like just queer cinema Catchup, and then just the plot and the stories and just the connection.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Who would be your actor? Who would play you, Tyler?
So my co-host and I, like when we first started this podcast, we played this game, and he told me that it would be Chris Evans, but I don't like that one because he's older than I am by about like 9 years, and he is he would be way too expensive for like my movie, like not realistic at all. And so the one that came to mind, like there's a TV show that's currently airing on CBS. It's okay. It's called Fire Country.
Okay, yeah.
And the main actor in it is a guy named, I can never pronounce his last name right, but it's like Max Terriot. Therout or something. And I think he looks like me. He has the beard. He has the long hair. He's like 240 pounds or something. I think he would be. I think he would be the actor. I think physically, and I think he is like not big enough yet to where like if we're gonna make a decent movie, most of the budget isn't gonna go toward the actor. I think he'd do it for $500,000.
You're looking at this in very realistic terms. You're like, who can we afford? Who looks like me?
Joe and I picked the most expensive, like probably female actors in Hollywood.
No, I like that answer though. Your guys' movie, like, get the big budget behind it. Like mine's like an A24 film. You guys like a Warner Brothers.
Oh,
Well, cool guys. I sure appreciate your time hanging out with me this morning, talking about Fallout and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Other stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And please, everyone, like, go watch Locked Off Logic and Queer Cinema Catchup. We have plenty of content that's already out there that you can continue watching. And yeah, it's been a great chat.